So I just wanted to give an update on the Bandit for anybody that's been following any of the videos that I've had about it. It's been a long journey to this point, but we've made the executive decision that this bike, along with the V-Strom and a Harley, are going to be going on a trip around Lake Michigan, up to Lake Superior, and back home. And we've come to that decision because I've actually got this thing running really damn well. After however long it's been, I don't know what it's, maybe 24 months by this point, but it's running pretty damn good. And I'm going to go over some of the things that I'm worried about, but we think we're going to be able to take it around. I took the bike out for about 50 miles today, so I hadn't been taking it anywhere further than just around my block because the bike didn't have insurance on it, and now that it's got insurance on it, I've been comfortable taking it on the freeway, ripping around, and this bike seems to be running like it's supposed to be running. It's an incredible thing, and been through just about every damn thing on this bike. Still deciding whether or not I want to actually buy it from my buddy when this ordeal is over, or if we're just gonna fucking throw it in Lake Superior when we get there because of the headache that it's brought on both of us. It was his first bike. It was the biggest lemon on the planet. He's since bought a V-Strom like me. But he's flying in from San Diego, and we are doing this in 2 weeks. I'm still worried as fuck about this bike. I still don't trust it, because I still don't know if it's going to do something totally different tomorrow. But I put the side panels on. I'm not taking that carburetor back out again. I fucking set the world speed record on the amount of time it takes to take out the carburetor, put the fucker back in. I know this bike really damn well. I'm confident that we will be able to make it from here to the ferry. The other 1,280 miles, I have no idea. So anyway, yeah, this is gonna be a little bit of a mixed video, update on the bike, then update on what our trip's gonna be in 2 weeks. Fucking jacked, it's gonna be our first big trip. And yeah, we've been talking about doing a trip for a while. You know, you get all those fucking big ideas in your head. Yeah, we should drive down Baja Peninsula, Mexico, and all that kind of stuff. It's like, Pat, Ryan, slow down a second. Let's see if we can even make it around the lake that's right next door. So that's going to be the trip. I'll tell you about what we've been doing to the bike. Talk about the El Bandito. Right off the bat, one thing I want to mention that is if this was my bike, there's more changes I would make. The intention of this is to make this bike last this trip, be comfortable, be capable, and then sell it afterwards. Not looking to make any money off of it. There's going to be no money made off of this thing. Just more than 500 bucks would be great. All right, so anyway, I've been struggling with this bike for, I don't know, the last 24 months, like I mentioned, and right now it's running pretty good. So one of the issues that I have with this bike now is this was a faired bike. It had a fairing up front. That has been removed. And actually it looks really nice. I actually like how this bike looks quite a bit. It's not going to be as nice for a longer trip without the fairing. Actually the fairing is in this house somewhere. I could put it back on, but that's not what the owner wanted, so that's not what's going to happen. Anyway, one of my issues with the bike is the old Chinese fairing here, and I don't know if the fucking halogen's already melting it or what this is, but basically I don't know. That's not nice. I don't know what that bubbling is, but it's melting it from the inside. It hasn't gotten any worse, so maybe that's as bad as it's going to get. Another thing, the shop that did this, the shop that did the same $954 service on the bike and absolutely fucking destroyed it, they put all this on and they never bothered to put a LED relay in there. So we got the fast blinkers. Now, I was worried about that, but you actually can see it from behind pretty well. So I don't think that's going to be that big of a deal. I mean, it's probably like a $10 fix, but it doesn't gain me much, and I think you can see it just fine. The forks on here, if I were left to this, if this was mine, I would not rebuild, but I would just put new fork seals in them. I've wiped these off. I've seen some residue show up on here, and it's probably about time. The bike's only got about 10,000 miles, but I would do it if it was going to be mine. The brakes for the front, everything, brakes work great. And there's a little squeaking from the rear brake that I noticed today. It's the first time I ever heard it, and it's not every time. Real easy to hammer on it. You can lock up the rear brake. I did a good squeal earlier today. That was fun. But yeah, I would redo the forks. That's probably the big thing for the front end suspension that I would do. I'm not worried about too much else on it. The tires on this bike, they have good tread left on them, but they probably are. I don't know if they're the originals. I don't know if this is what they came with at the time, but they're making the trip because there's going to be no return on investment for replacing those. So what else do we got? I got to attach the fuel gauge. That's not attached yet. What else do we got here? So the chain, the reason that castle nut's all off is because I was messing with it before. I've got a little bit more rear adjustment to do. The chain still got plenty of slack left. I can pull it back a little bit more. What do we got right now? I mean, it's not bad. It's pretty close to actually where I'd want it. I may tighten it a little bit, but I don't think it really needs too much. So what else do we got here? One of the major worries I still have about this bike is the amount of time that it takes it to get warm. The other carbureted bikes that I have, and I just keep comparing it to this FZR, it is the absolute opposite of this bike. This bike, no matter what I do, I cannot not make it run. There's no reason it should run. I don't do anything to it, and it just fucking starts. This thing, I don't know, you have to pamper this little fucking pansy all the time, and it's just so finicky. This is the backup plan. It's always been the backup plan for this trip. If this doesn't work out, this is what's coming. I do not want to have to ride this for that long, because while I know the bike is going to make it, I don't know that my back is going to make it. So I took the battery out of here. I have a good AGM battery. The AGM battery is sitting in here now, just because I don't trust the shitty lead acid one that they put in there. Not because I don't trust a lead acid battery, but the shitty ass one they put in there I don't trust at all. So that's where we are on this side of the bike. Luggage points for this trip. This is one of the upsetting things about this bike, is that we're not going to be able to put too much on here. I'll get to this one because I've got a lot. I went on a little bit of a spending spree on Revzilla recently. That should be in the mail right now. And this bike's going to look a whole lot different, the V-Strom. But we're not going to be able to put too much on here. The thing is, we've got the V-Strom going, and we've got a Harley big-ass fucker going. So between the luggage racks on the back of those, we shouldn't have to put too much on this bike. I'm not too worried about it. I just wish it could actually carry a little bit more. Yeah, so the rear blinkers, you can see them. I like that the exhaust is stock because it's quieter. I just like, I mean, it's fun riding a bike with a loud exhaust, but I like having a quieter exhaust. You don't worry about fucking waking up neighbors and all that kind of thing. So yeah, we put these side panels back on. They give the bike a really kind of cool look. I forgot that they were actually black. They've been in a box for so long that I haven't even seen them in forever. So if you saw the first video I ever posted about this thing, this crankcase was entirely full of fuel. So probably up to about here or even higher. I don't know how far it went up. So the thing that has to happen, you have to have your petcock fail and have a float fail. These carburetors do not have overflows on them, which is insane to me, but they don't. That's not an overflow. That's just for the carb drain bolt. You pull that thing out and then it'll come out of there. But it doesn't have an overflow. So if you look at the angle of this thing, it's down into the cylinders. So if the petcock fails, it's a vacuum operated petcock. If it fails, it goes right into the cylinders, assuming the float also fails. So just one of the 4 floats has to fail. If you leave it for the course of a winter, it's gonna fill this thing up. That's exactly what happened. And that was one of the wildest things I've ever seen happen on a bike. This is the throttle position sensor. This was one of what I thought was one of the culprits on this bike. It turned out it wasn't. I think this thing reads, it's been a while since I checked it, but it checked out all right. I think it reads from 0 to 5 volts. Basically, it tells the bike where the throttle is. It's sort of like a,
I don't know if it works kind of like a mechanical, not mechanical, but a timing advance to change pretty much when the spark plug's firing. Another one of the culprits that I thought could have been leading to all the fuel delivery issues was these intake boots, and turns out it wasn't. It was something else, but I replaced them. They were expensive. It sucked. It was like, I don't know, 35 bucks per, so 140 bucks. So it's got 140 bucks of new intake boots on it. But you know what? I ruled that out as a possible candidate, so that is what it is. For the amount of time it's been put into this bike, I really haven't put that much money into it. It's just been a bunch of fucking bush light and time in this garage. Yeah, carburetors have been through by multiple people at this point. The big thing I did to this recently is over here. This bike comes with a pair system, and I removed it completely. So the pair system was, or is, if you have one of them, it's something that is just put on there to cheat emissions. Basically, what it does is it burns, or it burns, but it more dilutes unburnt gases. So when you hook this thing up to the sensor that's checking out the contents of the unburnt gases, basically what used to be on here, and you can see these are block off plates. These are something that I ordered. Now if you're a machinist, or honestly if you're just somebody a little bit more capable than me, you could probably get away without spending 40 bucks on these things. You could probably just get these block off plates yourself or make them up in your shop. Anyway, there's 4 of them. You got to take all that off. There's 2 reasons I took this off. One, because it was a variable that I couldn't rule out, because I'll show it to you in a second. Basically, it was a variable I wanted to rule out. And the second part is that when you take this tank off, you see spark plug number 3 right there, right here. Real easy to get to now. Once that tank's off, all of that fucking pair system was right here. You could get to all 4 spark plugs except for number 3 without it on there. And number 3 was what I thought I had a big ass issue with. So actually, spark plug number 3, I actually just replaced this one again because I just didn't trust that it was actually always firing on spark plug number 3. And I got a new spark plug in 3, and I put a new one in the back for the trip. But let's show you what the pair looks like. So these are the block off valves. Basically, the pair works as it's a reed valve, and it pulls air from here. So so there's 2 things you got to do if you want to remove the pair. You have to block off where it injects the cold air, and you have to block off the air filter. And I just put a little silicone plug in there. But what the pair is it's this nonsense. And this thing sits through the tank. It's mounted kind of, you see how much space this thing is taking up. Just pretend it's, through the tank. But there's not that much space there to begin with. And you put this fucking nonsense device in there, and you can't maneuver around anything. So it's a bunch of hoses, and you have to put all these, metal, I don't know, even, the injecting parts. And they go in there. And it's really something just to cheat emissions. It doesn't help anything. It just helps Suzuki sell these bikes in the United States, and then it's a piece of shit. I'll keep it around for whoever buys it if they want to put that thing back on. And the only other thing you needed for the block off plates was, it's the first time I ever used this red RTV high temp gasket stuff. So hour of riding around on the bike today, and looks like it's holding up well. And one of the things I've always been monitoring is the oil level in this bike. I think I've changed the oil 4 times now, and it's probably got 200 miles on it. So yeah, basically I monitor this level to make sure that it doesn't go any higher than there, because I know where it is in case that there is ever a failure again with the fuel ending up back in the bike. I don't think it should happen. There's no reason it should happen, but it has happened, so it's one of those things I got to worry about. So anyway, that is the Bandit. Now, that was a lot of bad stuff I said about it. The good stuff is that this bike is incredibly nice to ride. comparing it again to my FCR, which is my beater. This is my Widowmaker bitch bike. It is fun as fuck to ride. It's loud, and it always just works. It is a similar, I think this is about 80 horsepower. This is about 85 horsepower. So they're roughly the same. They're both inline fours. This bike is so much more comfortable to ride because it's a standard style riding position. And you just, the hooligan feel on it is way more fun. This you feel like, and a 1991 sport bike is obviously a lot different than a 2019 one. But still, I mean, you get into this kind of racer mood and whatnot. This, you just want to fucking have fun on it. I'm looking forward to it. We're gonna do some swapping on this ride 100%. I put too much blood, sweat, and tears in this stupid fucking fuel air delivery system not to at least, you know, have a couple rides around the lake on it. But yeah, so if anybody's curious, that was a long-winded response to it's running all right. It's running pretty damn good. Fuel air screws under there. I'm gonna be bringing that screwdriver with me when I go. You can switch it up. I've got them out two turns out right now. Stock is 1 7/8. If you've got one of these bikes, you haven't looked, they do come with Welch plugs in them. You have to pull them off. These were already off when I got to it. So everything else on this bike is ready to go. The only thing I'm worried about is the fuel air delivery. And it's not because I don't think it's right now. It is right. I know it's right. It's just, it does things in the night because there's little gremlins that come in here and they change it because that's what this bike does to me. But it's gonna make these fucking 1,300 miles. That's it. All right, let's talk some V-Strom. All right, so talking some V-Strom, one of the first things I want to point out after riding this bike today, the Bandit, I really do appreciate the windscreen. It's just a little dab will do you. Even the FCRs, you can tell how much less wind ends up hitting your chest and whatnot. And the windscreen is really nice. So I pretty much got the vibration from the bars worked out. They only hit resonance around 5,500. That's actually something I should have mentioned about this. It does have a resonance around, I don't know if it's just a Suzuki thing. I doubt it. But yeah, this does hit a resonance where it rattles. This obviously does. It didn't have it until I put the tuning forks on it, but I'm not going to take them off because they don't bother me too much at this point. The big issue I'm having right now is yeah, this is a real first world problem, but the heated grips thing, I think I got another video about it, but I don't know, they don't work anymore. They just go into battery saver mode no matter what. Something so I went on a bit of a spending spree. I mean, I spent there's like $1,000 worth of fucking camping stuff coming in the mail. That'll be going on soon, and the big thing that I haven't been able to pull the trigger on yet is actually the skid plate. I know it needs a skid plate. It comes with this plastic one over here, and it's not a real skid plate, but this will offer some protection to the oil filter. The oil filter on the V-twin is just in such an exposed place. It's just sitting right there like, hey, throw a rock through me and just fucking ruin everything. So I know that the plastic thing isn't going to give you a ton of protection, but it's going to give you some against the rocks. So the plastic one's going to go on unless I get it in my head that I have to get a skid plate. I've been looking at, well, everything on here, well, everything. The crash bars and the center stander SW Motec, the quality seems really good. I looked at the GV one and it didn't get great reviews at all. And they were basically saying it was kind of like a tinfoil wrap around stuff. And the GV one's about 180 bucks. The crazy thing is that the fucking SW Motec one's like 320. And it's crazy because like some of the Revzilla videos like reference it as like 280. So it's going up in price. Anyway, it's likely going to be the SW Motec one, the thicker one that ends up going on here. What I'd like to do is get it to somehow attach to these crash bars. Just to hopefully dampen some of that resonance there. But for this trip, it's, I mean, it depends on how many bush lights I have, but I'm probably not gonna buy it before the trip. Probably gonna put the plastic one back on. Outside of that, this bike has, what do I have? Maybe 1,500 miles on it. I'm not worried about it because I worry about everything, and that's one of my major faults. And I should just worry about this. And I bought this brand new, the only brand new thing I've ever bought, because I never buy anything brand new, because I didn't want to worry. So I'm going to try not to worry, even though I'm going to. So what's coming in the mail is I'm getting a GV, is it GV? I don't know, maybe. GV. I'm getting the rapid release rack on here, PLXR, PXLR, something like that. I think those are the 4 letters in it. Anyway, it'll attach onto here. Now, I was just gonna go all soft baggage, but because of the limited storing capacity on the Bandit, basically this isn't gonna be able to carry anything. I opted for the V37 cases, so they are hard cases, and the thing that actually sold me on it was the fact that they say they can hold a full face helmet. That's what they say. Other people say, there's only so many reviews, I'm surprised. There's not too many reviews. Some people say they can fit a full face helmet in them. Some people say they can't. I'm buying it because it would be really cool to be able to park somewhere and you know, lock your helmet up and not have to carry it around, because I always carry my helmet around wherever I go. And if I could lock it up, that would be really cool. So that's what's coming for this bike. And I'm a camping complete novice. I've got a ton of fucking dry bag stuff coming. I've bought way too much stuff. We're gonna find out. I always hear that you never need to take as much as you end up bringing. The problem is I don't know what those things are yet. And I've been watching, obviously, lots and lots of videos of what I should and shouldn't bring. I know I'm gonna bring way too many tools, but because I've been writing down everything that I think I'm going to need for that Bandit. So I'm bringing a bunch of tools. That's just the way it's gonna be. Anyway, sorry that this video accomplished nothing and you actually made your entire way through it. The thing it accomplished for me was that I kind of talked my way through the two week notice on these bikes. Gotta have them ready in 2 weeks. Feeling pretty good about our chances, and I don't know. Looking forward to it. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it.